So get us started, nerdy teacher. What are we going to talk about today?
So today we're going rogue.
Okay. Woo!
Last time we talked about fighters. Today we are going to discuss what's it like to be a rogue. And if you choose rogue, you are choosing the character that relies on, quoting the player's handbook here, skill, stealth, and their foes' vulnerabilities to get the upper hand in any situation. Bonus Mom, now you're the one frozen on my screen. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Oh, you're
going.
fine. It's probably fine on Twitch. Just Discord is not the friendliest thing.
So
But
when we players who have played a little while think about rogues, we've got what the player's handbook says, but what do we really think that a rogue brings to our party of adventurers?
when I think rogue, I'm DMing a table and someone tells me they want to be a rogue. I think that someone wants to be a scout, be stealthy, to want to be the one that is able to get the group out of a tight situation. Rogues are good if you want to do a lot of damage in combat, but they're also good out of combat, which is different from the fighter.
Okay.
When we talk about fighter, they're really only good at fighting. I mean, it's kind of in the name, right? But rogues are able to do so much more than just that. Well, we can just jump right into it. If you choose rogue, you are going to get expertise in certain abilities. You get extra maneuverability options in fights, and you get to do extra damage as well in certain situations. So you really are very versatile if you choose a rogue. It's a good starting point if you want to do more than just go in with a sword and see how much damage you do.
Yeah. They're sneaky. No, rogues are sneaky, right? Like one of the best things about them is that they get benefits from even like where they're standing and who's next to them. They're also great, like in the olden Dungeons and Dragons days when it was all about traveling through the dungeon and looking to solve the puzzles and avoid the traps. That's a strength of a rogue, right? They can see the hidden doors. They can, check traps or whatever, depending on the dice rolls. So that's part of what you say about they're good for a whole lot more than just being in a battle.
Yes, and I think every balanced group needs a good rogue for various reasons. I am currently I am DMing for a group and playing in a group that did not have a rogue when we started, and certainly we missed them. they can be very useful. So when you're talking about rogues can be stealthy, rogues are really good at finding traps. That comes down to when you take rogue, before you even put in your first level, you get to pick your proficiencies, the things that your character is really going to be good at. And
Okay.
you can think about this, Bonus Mom, because chat, remember, she's going to create a rogue before we leave today.
Hopefully. If the technology cooperates.
Hopefully. Whereas most classes will get 2 proficiencies of their choice from a certain list, rogues get 4. And when you are proficient in a skill, you get more modifiers to add to your dice roll. So you are better at it, basically. You're proficient in it. But you get to pick 4 from acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, investigation, intimidation. So, yeah, you could take stealth and sleight of hand to steal as your proficiencies, but you could also be a rogue and just be very deceiving and deceptive and take proficiency in persuasion, deception, performance. They are almost a jack of all trades. That's more bard, and we'll get there one day, but they really can be whatever you want them to be.
Well, I'm trying to think. I think the second or the third character that I ever played was a rogue. And I picked an older human who had been like the exchequer or something in a royal court and had access to money and orders and merchandise and whatever. And so my story was that he had been caught embezzling, but was innocent, of course, and taking paybacks and kickbacks. And his story was that he was completely innocent in that. But so more than the just the sneaky that he, was wily and acrobatic and could get in and out of tight places, his thing was more in the persuasion and the intimidation, because he was the exchequer of the royal court and whatever. And he was very arrogant. He was of royal blood himself. And so he was a little bit different kind of rogue, which I didn't realize at the time, because a lot of time rogues, don't they tend to be from the criminal class? They're like, a lot of times their right and wrong could be a little bit skewed based on profitability for them.
Well, definitely. When people think rogues, they think thieves, basically, or assassins, especially because in older editions of D&D, there was no rogue. There was literally just a class called thief. And the rogue is based on that. So a lot of people play up the, I steal because I have to. I'm an orphan, and my backstory is filled with all these dark things. And it's very much a trope and a stereotype at this point. You don't have to play it that way. Like you said, yours was just more of a talker and very acrobatic, and not exactly somebody who would go and pickpocket somebody, but just somebody who would make you believe that that money was theirs in the first place.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so you say that a rogue gets to pick 4 proficiencies. Is that usually the first thing that the rogue does, is decide? How do we start out?
Sure. So when you choose to be a rogue, you automatically get proficiency in the intelligence and the dexterity saving throws. And the player's handbook goes list by list, of all the things that you start. What's your HP? And, then it gives you a list of proficiencies to choose from. And you get to pick your 4. And there's a list of, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to choose from. So they really could be, no 2 rogues have to be alike, honestly.
All those proficiencies can tie into your backstory too, can't they? Because it's just like my guy being royal and whatever, then he kind of picked intimidation, where maybe that wouldn't be the one that if you were the poor little orphan kid in the street that you would pick. So that helps you to get started to think about your backstories too.
Exactly. And when you think about your backstory will also give you some proficiencies. So if you choose, for example, you want to be a charlatan character, then they give you proficiency in performance, I believe. If you want urchin and you grew up on the streets, which is kind of like, the street rat origin, you get different proficiencies. And you can mix and match on every single one of these to get the character that you want. Whether you want them to just be useful in the party and choose sleight of hand to steal and stealth to scout ahead and come back and tell the party what you saw, or if you want to be the talker, you want to be the face of the group and take intimidation, persuasion, deception, all of those.
Well, and getting 4 proficiencies is awesome. If you're saying there are 11 and you're getting 4, then that's what, like 40% of the different things you can choose, you just get.
Yeah.
That's a great way to start.
They get even better when you get to level 1. And before you even get to level 1, you get an extra proficiency that's not exactly on the list, but you become proficient in thieves' tools.
Yes.
So you can use lock picks and stuff like that in order to get into doors. So that is extremely helpful. And believe me, when you have an entire party of people who no one has any lock picks and there's a locked door, you got a problem.
The locked door, the locked chest, any of you're trying to break into the cabinet in the, the nefarious noble's room when nobody's around, all those sorts of things, they really, really come in handy. Totally agree.
Exactly. And you get your basics at the very beginning, like leather armor to protect yourself, and you get to choose between, a rapier and a short sword, and you could choose a short bow if you want to do range attacks. And every rogue gets 2 daggers to start. So you got to have your daggers as a rogue. Yeah.
Well, and that means if you're using 2 daggers, one for your on hand and one for your off hand, you can only count your like extra things once, but you basically get 2 attacks, right? If you're going two-handed with the daggers, you get 2 attacks.
Yes, what Bonus Mom was talking about is the offhand attack. If your offhand, holding up my left one right now as my offhand, has a light weapon in it. So you can use your rapier or short sword with your main hand and get the extra damage. And on that roll, you get to add your ability score modifier to that damage. And that's a whole nother thing that I'm sure any DM will be willing to explain to you. But the only downside of an offhand attack is you don't get that little extra bonus to damage. You just roll 1d4 for the dagger, and that's it. However, it's an extra attack. Sometimes the DM says, ooh, they're hanging on by just a thread, and you got that dagger in your hand. You get to take the enemy down.
Yeah,
that's
or
handy.
your rapier misses, but you want to get something out of it so you don't miss your whole attack turn of doing some damage. So.
Exactly. Now, back to those proficiencies that we were talking about. Let's say that you're a character where they're the face of the group. So they're going to be the talker, the one who introduces the group to everybody. So they chose deception, persuasion, performance, and intimidation as their 4 proficiencies. Well, at level 1, you get to pick 2 of any of your proficiencies, and you get to have expertise in them, which means you get double your proficiency bonus. At level 1, your proficiency bonus is a +2. So whatever you roll, you get a +4 to that already. You have a proficiency bonus of +5. Well, with expertise, now you have a +10 to your roll. And basically, it'd be really hard to fail.
Yeah, and that's where if you've ever watched anybody play or us or somebody else, and you'll get a situation where somebody will say, I have a +10 or a +8 or whatever, and everybody else is saying for their thing, so I have +2 and +3. It's that double thing that the rogue gives you. And all of these numbers that we're talking about, just to remind everybody, particularly our new players, that when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, you're talking about rolling dice, and you want to get the best number that you can. So all these things, the proficiency bonuses, are numbers that you get to add to your dice when you roll. So if you roll, and for so many monsters out there, so many bad guys, their armor classes are anywhere from 15 to 16 to 17. Well, if you're adding 4, then that means that you only have to roll an 11 maybe to get your bonus 5 and hit. See, so it means that you can roll lower numbers on your dice, but still get a big enough number to accomplish what it is that you're trying to accomplish. That's what proficiencies give you.
That's a great explanation. Good job. So yeah, you get to pick 2. So if you wanted it to be like persuasion, if you were telling the truth, and deception, if you were lying, then you'd have to roll extremely low to fail your check or any kind. Yeah. You want to bluff to the guards and say, oh no, we didn't start the fire that's going on over there. That was this person. Roll for it and add, oh gosh, it could be anywhere from +4 to +15 to whatever you roll. And my goodness.
And all your numbers, just like in so many games that you play, all your numbers get better the more you do it, the better your character is as they level up. And Nerdy Teacher is going to share what we can get for a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level character rogue, and then kind of sit on that and let you think about what you can do. If you're getting ready to get into a game, think about rogue, what the early days would be like.
Yeah. So at 1st level, you get the expertise that we already talked about. And then later on, you get more expertise anyway. So if you wanted to get better at anything else, well, then you get to choose 2 more at level 6. But also at 1st level is one of the biggest features of the rogue, and that is the sneak attack. Anytime you have advantage when you attack, which happens quite a bit for rogues, let's be honest, you get to add an extra dice to your damage roll. At level 1, it's an extra 1d6, which is the 6-sided die, right? But that goes up as you get better. So at level 3, it turns into 2d6. At level 19, it's 10d6. So one attack, as long as you have advantage and you hit, which it's really hard to miss when you do have advantage, you could add 10d6, a maximum of 60 extra damage to an attack. That's insane. And imagine if you have a critical hit and you can double all of your dice, you double your sneak attack too. So it is one of the most fun features about rogues is when you get advantage, you roll, you get that critical hit, which is a nat 20, you roll a 20 on the die, and then you pick up about 20 different dice, shake them, and roll them in front of the DM.
Oh, it's crazy. I have been in games where people have rolled 70, 80, 90 for whatever reason, points of damage. Of course, as you level up your monsters you tend to fight, or bad guys, whatever, those tend to go up also. They're more powerful as you go up, but still so much power. And again, you touched on sneak attack. The how do you get that? A little bit about what is it that makes the sneak attack and the rogue? What makes that happen?
Rogues are canonically able to study their opponents, and in mid-battle able to figure out where their weaknesses are. You're able to find, if it's a fighter, you're able to find that one misstep they have in their stance and where they're vulnerable. If it's a monster, you're able to figure out where their natural armor is at its weakest, and you just hit that spot perfectly in order to do the most damage. In game terms, it's whenever you have advantage. There are many spells and many instances in D&D that give you advantage, such as if the monster falls over and they're prone on the ground, you have advantage on the attack. But rogues in particular have advantage if they have another ally within 5 feet of that creature that they're attacking. So the fighter or paladin or probably not one of the magic users, or the cleric, let's go there, runs up and is slashing at the creature. Well, whether you're doing a bow or a dagger or a rapier strike, you have advantage because you have an ally close to that enemy. So you get your sneak attack.
Yep. And
think of it as your friend is distracting them.
Yeah. And that advantage means that you roll 2 d20s. You roll the biggest dice twice, and you get to take the highest number. So you have a 20% chance of rolling better instead of worse, or whatever, a 50% chance, or whatever, however, I don't know what the statistics are. But again, it all comes down to the dice roll. That's where the nitty gets to the gritty. It's what a good number you roll.
And I've seen people with advantage still roll bad, and I've seen people with disadvantage, which is the opposite. You roll 2 dice and take the worst number, still manage to hit. So it does come down to the die, but with your numbers, with extra additional dice, with your rolls with advantage, every little bit helps. But that's what you get at level 1. You get expertise in some skills, and you start using your sneak attack immediately. So it is extremely fun. And at level 1, when you're fighting the easiest bad guys in the entire game, a rogue with sneak attack can one-hit kill an enemy.
I mean, if you're up against goblins, which are kind of the typical one, if you're just getting started, you'll run into the goblins and the bugbear, right? That's sort of there. And goblins tend to have 8 hit points, isn't it? 7, 8, something like that. I mean, it can vary. Your DM can do what they want to do. But yeah, if you roll a d6 and you get 6, you've got 6 plus whatever your proficiency is, you're there. So absolutely, rogues can one-shot lower level characters.
Correct.
Monsters.
Now, one last little thing that comes with first level. So you get 3 things at first level. My gosh. The last thing is more flavor and role play, which I love when the class itself gives you this opportunity. It's a whole new language that only people who live in like the criminal underground understand. It's called Thieves' Cant.
Thieves' Cant, yeah.
And it's not so much like a language in that it sounds different than common, but it's just code phrases is how most people play it up. You could say the words, let's meet tonight to have dinner. And if you're speaking to your correct person who's also a part of the underground, they would understand what that code meant. You need to meet up somewhere particular. You need to meet up in a certain time, or it can mean something completely different, like let's go rob the bank, whatever.
Yeah. It gives you a whole language to use that most people don't know. You know,
right.
you could be in a group, particularly like in a tavern or something, and there are lots of different kinds of people there besides just humans, and you could think you're talking in Sylvan and nobody's going to understand you, and somebody at another table, the DM tells you heard every word you said. But thieves can't, particularly if you kind of know you're not in the underworld, but you've spied this one person that's maybe somebody you know from the underworld or whatever. You can have a whole conversation and nobody's going to understand what you're saying. Very good for planning.
Yeah. Maybe there's a code phrase for I need protection, or I need assistance, or sometimes people play it up as when you're having a conversation, you kind of like talk with your hands, and doing certain symbols or whatnot with your fingers might trigger some sort of reaction. And it might just be like symbols that you draw on the wall that mean gibberish to everybody else, but you know what that symbol means.
Yep.
I just heard a cat in the background. Is everybody okay?
Cambria is over here thinking it would be wonderful if we would all quit what we're doing and feed her sixth meal of the day.
I understand. Well, anyway, let's push through. We started kind of late today, so let's go ahead and push through and get to making your character.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about second and third level, and that's going to be where we're going to wrap it up. I'll talk a little bit about what to expect as you come, but we won't go into details today.
Okay.
Second level, you get something called cunning action. So this is where I talked about at the beginning, where you get a little bit more maneuverability in combat. When any player wants to do something on their turn, they get an action and a bonus action. An action would be to attack, to cast a spell. Basically, it's the majority of your turn. Bonus actions are quick little things that you can add, and not many characters have bonus actions. Some spells are bonus actions, but, lost my train of thought. Some spells are bonus actions, some abilities are bonus actions. For the rogue, they get to take what most people would use as an action and do it quickly as a bonus action. They get to do dash, disengage, or hide. So any player who wants to can double their movement and go all the way across the battlefield in a dash, but it's an action for them. For rogues, it's a bonus action. Yeah. So they can run all the way over there and still go stab whatever enemy they see. For disengage, that means you can step away from the enemy and not get hurt. Normally, you step away from an enemy, they will attack you and have a chance to strike at you. If you disengage first, you can step away and then run to safety. Oh. And the last one, hide, as a bonus action. You get to go find some cover of some kind, hide behind it, and then roll your stealth to see if they noticed you. And if they didn't, you can have your sneak attack damage on the next strike.
Oh, those are so valuable, particularly the disengage, because it means that you can see that your cleric, maybe you said cleric, is up next to somebody. Sure. So you run up, you do your damage, but there you are stuck right beside them. Well, with the cunning action, you're able to disengage and go back where you were, and the monster doesn't get that attack of opportunity, which means, it's a D&D rule that if you're next to somebody and you move out of their space, they get to attempt to attack you because they see you moving away. Disengage means you get to move and they don't get to attack you. So that can keep a rogue from taking lots and lots of damage, and gives them that vulnerability to go into that ability to go into one place, and then on their next turn, go to a completely different place. They can run back and then go up and run back, and it gives them all kinds of ability to move across the battlefield in different directions.
Exactly. Imagine a little halfling character whose little legs can't keep up with everybody, but in combat, they can dash across the entire field in a split second, or they can run in, stab the creature, disengage, and then run back out, or they can hide. They can hide behind the taller creatures. So, hey, I'm going to hide behind the paladin, and the monster doesn't see me anymore, so paladin, I hope you're ready to get hit. Sorry.
It's wonderful. I loved that about the rogue that I had, that getting in and getting out without getting hurt, particularly at lower levels.
Oh, yeah, definitely want that. So getting it at level 2 is crucial to surviving to higher levels. And lastly, the third level is when you get to pick what type of rogue you want to be, your roguish archetype. And there's so many. There's a whole list, and they keep coming out with new subclasses all the time, but basically some of the most popular ones here. Thief, lets you be a better thief. Assassin, you get better skills at killing people. Inquisitive means that you have the detective skills to investigate and do whatever you want to do with that. Scout is very useful if you want to be kind of like, the scout of the group, almost like a ranger would be, where you can scout ahead and come back. Swashbuckler is the pirate flair, or flavor, I should say, of the rogue. Mastermind, you get abilities that allow you to become a manipulator, a master of misdirection. Sounds like your character would have been really good as a mastermind.
Yeah.
And then the one that I like to use is Arcane Trickster, because they get to take some wizard spells. Mostly illusion and enchantment, but you get one wizard spell of your choice within certain levels, like level 1 and level 2 of wizard spells, that you get to have. You're rogue, and suddenly you have magic. That's pretty awesome. You do get the mage hand ability, which is an invisible hand to go and do your pickpocketing for you and then come back. But it is just so fun to be a rogue, to run in, stab people, and then have a little enchantment or illusion magic to also misdirect them.
And if you're brand new and the rogue is the first or second character you're playing, you've done that, maybe done the fighter, now you've done the rogue, it is an opportunity to have a little bit of magic and just know what that's like. So you can grow as a player a lot of times the way that you pick your rogue, what you choose for your rogue.
All right. Are you all right? Need some water?
Yeah, something going down the wrong way. I'm hydrating. It's all good. Yeah, you should too. There you go.
Hydrate, everybody. So, after that, as you level up, you get other certain things that are extremely helpful to staying alive in combat. In fact, I think there are 3 or 4 different abilities that you get that just let you have or nullify damage completely. So, like Uncanny Dodge, you get to have the amount of damage that an attack does to you. Evasion, if you have to do a save against something, which is you roll a d20, add your modifier, and see if you pass a number. Let's say a fireball is being thrown at you. Evasion would let you cut that number in half, whatever damage you took. Or if you pass, you don't take any damage at all. You just backflipped out of the fireball range. It is insane how useful it is. And then at even higher levels, you get just some basic luck. Like, oh, I failed the save. Oh, well, I'm going to use this feature, and now I've passed. It is so fun to just go look at your DM and go, I passed that save.
Oh, it can be crucial. It can absolutely save your life as the player,
as
the character.
It messes with the DM a little bit and makes them go, you are so hard to hit. Yeah. So rogues are one of the easier ones to learn if you're just starting out and you want a little bit more than just I run in and slash at it. And they give you so much role play opportunity. You don't have to go the deep, dark, brooding backstory if you don't want to. And I'm curious to see what Bonus Mom, what you're going to come up with just now. You told us about your other character that did embezzlement and whatnot. What was their race and anything else about their story you haven't told us?
His name was Cheryl Pofam, and he was human. And again, he was, no, I take it back. That's not right. He was a high elf. He was a high elf rogue. Okay. And like I said, he had been like an exchequer or worked in the treasury in a royal house, and had been quite dishonest, of course, and had taken playbacks and had been intimidating. He was quite arrogant. It was great fun for me to play somebody who's just arrogant. And we were doing Fandelver, and I got into a lot of trouble. My first conversation with the mayor, I think it was, of the town of Fandelver, I alienated 2/3 of the town, and everybody hated me, which was funny because I was supposed to be the rogue, and be able to accomplish things, and everybody just snarled when they saw me coming. But it was still fun because my numbers were good, and I would, my stats were good, and I would end up convincing people to do things even when they didn't like me. So I had a lot of fun with that. And then Cheryl did soften over time. He kind of figured out he wasn't in the royal court anymore. And that was kind of, some role-playing choices that were made. But it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed him. And I kind of miss him. And I think I have resurrected him for a one-shot or two as we've gone along.
All right. I love it. If I can take a second, I just want to tell about my halfling rogue that I made.
Yes.
Brenna, I love her to death. She did not start any sort of adventuring until she was about 40 years old, which is still pretty young for halflings, but, 40 years of doing something and then deciding you want to go on an adventure is a little unheard of. For her, she grew up on a farm and was running it all on her own. She did have a daughter at one point, and I left. I gave my character a little bit of a flaw in that she couldn't really handle any sort of alcohol. And one night she went to town, had a drink, and came back home. And a few months later, found out something happened that night. So she ended up with a daughter. Oops, yeah. But, loves her daughter to death. But one year the farm did not do well because of natural causes, and she wasn't able to pay the taxes on the land. So her home was seized, and she and her daughter were kicked out. And she basically turned to thievery because no jobs were available. There was nothing in town. She had to steal to keep herself and her daughter alive.
Okay.
So I tried to avoid the, I grew up on the streets, and, my only friends are the rats that kept me warm at night when they slept with me and stuff like that. I wanted a character who had a reason to steal that wasn't out of greed. It was out of necessity.
That's cool. I like that. And see, I kind of felt like I was going in a different direction too, that here I had somebody at the top, who was very good at what he did and sneaked through a long time and then had gotten caught. But because he was so good at what he did, they couldn't prove anything. So he was just, what's the word? Excommunicated from the royal court. He had to leave. He had to go away. And of course, professing his innocence all of the way. And he, as a result of that, really didn't have serious connections to the underworld. He might have known a few thieves or whatever, but that made him a little bit different too. And sometimes we try to do that, don't we? It's fun to go for the total cliche. That can be just extreme amounts of fun, and then picking something different. So I picked a high elf rogue. I thought, well, elf and, thievery and moving fast, all those things, and mysterious, that all worked really well. But I don't think I want today's rogue to be a high elf or even a human. I'm looking for something different. So I would love it if some people would throw things at me in the chat about what do you think would make an interesting race for a rogue? Last time I picked Tiefling, if you remember, and I made that choice. Now I'm looking for help from chat. Excuse me, what were you going to say, nerdy teacher?
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, while chat's thinking about that, there's some races that would be beneficial to being a rogue, and some that might actually hinder it. Like I can imagine an olifant, which is an elephant humanoid, having a hard time being a rogue, being sneaky and pickpocketing people whose pockets are smaller than their fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would be interesting, definitely, to hear their story. And also, just as a note, in case chat hasn't heard it, or if you haven't heard of it, I recently read that in the new one D&D that's going to be coming out, they've changed the term races to species. So I just catch myself every now and then and saying, okay, what race do you want to be? Oh, wait, maybe we should try saying what species.
Oh, I like that. I do like that. I think that's totally cool. What species? And if we get used to saying it now, then we'll get familiar with it. And that's, the game evolves and our terminology evolves and words come to mean different things, and it behooves all of us to pay attention. And I have to say, when you get to be old as I am, it gets harder and harder. Okay, well, what I'm hearing here is half orc, which that is clever too. I mean, that's kind of interesting. A little bit like half orcs tend to be, you think, a little more awkward, whatever. So a half orc rogue, what would that entail? Yeah, I can go there. Yeah. I think that sounds. That. Yeah, why not? A half orc rogue.
Immediately, I'm thinking like the races that are half something, like half elf or half orc. They don't fit in with their human side or whatever their other side is, or their elven side or the orc side. They kind of stand out in either category. So maybe they had to turn to a certain type of lifestyle in order to fit in, or to gain some notoriety and acceptance. Oh, it's all. I mean, just picking your species, almost said race. Just picking your species can add to your story already.
Well, if we pick half orcs, and now we're looking at half orc rogue. Okay, is there anything that you get from choosing the species of half orc that changes any of the proficiencies or anything that we already have?
Well, fortunately, half orc is available in the player's handbook, and I have it right here. So,
okay.
The one thing I remember about half orc immediately is relentless endurance, which in combat, if you go down to 0 hit points, they knock you out, you're about to do death saves, you can go, I'm not finished yet, and pop back up at 1. So it is just a handy little feature to remember when everyone else around you is doing death saves or they need help and they depend on you, you can pop back up at 1. Okay. And then go in with that sneak attack and finish the enemy.
Absolutely.
You get dark vision. That could be helpful for a rogue.
Very helpful. Very helpful.
Let's see. You get savage attacks, which means when you roll a critical hit, you get extra dice. So on top of your sneak attack, this half orc rogue is very dangerous. I can tell.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost going to be like a tank rogue, because you have ways to avoid getting killed. That's pretty strong, particularly when you're a lower level.
And half orcs get a proficiency in intimidation. So there's one of your proficiencies out of the 4 you get to pick that is already chosen. So you get to pick 4 different ones.
See, now that's a thing that can be very, very helpful. And when you're making your character, it's one of the things that it's kind of like you bounce back and forth a little bit, because you can start out by picking your 4 or getting the 4 you're talking about, which would be, one could be intimidation. Then you find out you get that from picking half orc. So now you get to pick a different one than the one you originally did, which means you're going to be up to this many proficiencies because you picked a half elk, or that's 5 times out of 11, you get to add double the dice or extra dice. So totally crucial. So that, wow. I'm really liking this half orc. And I think the backstory is going to be amazing, because you just tend to think about your rogue as being little and clever and sneaky, and in and out and whatever. And then a half orc just doesn't sound like that. So it's going to be an interesting rogue. Okay, so that's what we've got. Yeah, thank you for that suggestion, McReese. We've got us a half orc rogue.
Okay. So we got a half orc rogue. Let's see. So what's their, we gotta start playing around with the backstory. Maybe, they do have, according to the 5e Player's Handbook, which I think, some of the species and races are going to change coming up with, ability scores, you do get +2 to your strength, but that does not mean that you have to be a strong half orc. You could be a very dexterous half orc. I imagine orcs as big, tough, broad shouldered, and strong. Maybe yours is like the runt.
It would be, well, we have to think of a reason why in this backstory. This rogue could be very fast. This rogue,
yeah.
for some reason, could have spent a lot of its life just training itself from a very young age to be very fast. And there's not really a reason, why it couldn't be in, out, it's there. Like, I can see it almost as like that cartoon thing where you see that where they draw like the movement, you're gone, but you're still seeing them, or whatever. It's just like, and they're gone.
The cloud outline of the character is still in there while they're running away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Immediately my brain goes to they've been running away from bullies all of their life, but I don't know if that's where you want to go, but that's just what my brain went to.
And that's the thing, it's like there is a size range for half orc, but just like there is for everything, there also can be this could be the world's shortest half orc, or of course the world's biggest half orc, or whatever. But yeah, it could be that. It could be the fact, and maybe this McGree says it had to be fast or agile to get away from orc peers. Yeah, because it's only a half orc, so it's a little bit littler, and maybe it's quite bright. Maybe its intelligence is really good.
I was just thinking that maybe he's smart for a half orc. Which, again, orcs can be smart. Half orcs can be smart. Maybe he grew up in an orcish clan that was more barbarians and live off the land kind of people, didn't really care about getting education, but your character was just curious and wanted to know what made the world tick.
Yeah, and yeah, so we could put a good number in intelligence, which might help things. Okay,
I like where we're going with this. Let's see. So what are you thinking for a backstory? What's going on in that mind? Or do you want to go into our random word generator to spark some ideas?
Well, let's see what we have and kind of get it started a little bit. And then I love the random word generator. I am going to say, and we can roll numbers or not roll numbers for this. We could actually use standard array this time, which we haven't actually we didn't do the other time. We can make it easy and demonstrate what standard array is, which do you have in front of you? It's in that book somewhere. You get 2 15s, don't you? And
I think 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8.
Yeah.
But testing my memory here. But yes, I do have it right in front of me.
Okay, so let's go with standard array this time. And we've decided that this is going to be unusual because it's just not the way that you normally would think about a rogue. I think the sort of thing that comes to me is this is a small half orc. It makes me wonder if the other half of the half orc is halfling. Can you do such a thing, or is that something do they go into that, or that's something you'd have to talk to your DM about?
Definitely talk to your DM. There's nothing specific about it in D&D, but I know of a third-party book that has come out where they will, and talk to your DM before using this, of course, because it's not official, but they give you benefits and drawbacks from whatever your parents are. So if your parent is a centaur and a water genasi, well, you can get traits from both of them. And it's a very fun book. I wish I remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'll take a look for it. But absolutely, if I'm your DM and you want to be a short half orc because your father or your mother was a halfling, that sounds hilarious. I love it.
I do too. I really like it a lot. And here is Pixel. Just came through the door. We are struggling through, Pixel. Thank you for everything. It's a little mysterious, but we're here. Okay. So we've come up with a half orc rogue, and you know what I think? I'm like, this is a little bit. I'm thinking about the Lion and the Mouse. Okay, that story about how the lion gets his paw caught. First, he lets the mouse survive and he doesn't kill him. And then the mouse says, I owe you a favor. And then later finds the lion in a trap and releases the paw, and that's kind of like the little guy helping the big guy. So I just have this vision of like this biggest orc in the whole tribe, the biggest, and he is one bad dude, and he's out crashing and tearing up villages or whatever, and comes across this adorable little halfling maiden, okay, and she's quite young and whatever, but he just can't kill her. There she is. She's like the last one maybe in the village or something, and she's just so adorable, and somehow this big old burly guy is touched, okay, by this adorable little halfling, and so he lets her go. He lets her run away, and she does. And then they meet up again. He's injured in battle somewhere, and there he is. His lifeblood is like, seeping out across the riverbed or whatever. And somehow she's there. And she struggles mightily. Maybe she's got a horse or something, some kind of a deal. So she actually rescues him then and saves his life. And she's older now. She's not quite so much a maiden then. And they become enamored of each other and they have a relationship. And that's where the half-orc comes from. And he's quite little for a half-orc. And I don't know from there. Let's think about that. What do you think? We've got something there. We've got the halfling mother had the relationship with the orc father, and it results in the particularly small half-orc. I'm thinking male. Because if he's going to really be given hell by his peers, probably because his dad's the big guy, he's the little guy. Does something happen to her and dad ends up taking him back to the tribe, would you think? And of course, nobody would ever let the dad know that they're even picking on his kid, right? But they are. And the kid doesn't want to tell because he just is so embarrassed, that with the peer pressure and the whole deal, that he doesn't really tell his father what's going on. So he's like secretly bullied or something by his tribe.
Sure. I mean,
what does anybody think?
Yeah, no one's going to go up to the leader and say, hey, I think your son's being bullied, because, the leader's not going to believe it. No one's going to mess with my son. Who are you talking about? He's going to go kill all of, he'll just turn around and kill all the young men in the tribe that are making fun of his little kid, and people aren't going to want their kids to get hurt. So even in orc tribes, they care about that sort of thing. Exactly.
Maybe not. But anyway, yeah. So that's what we've got so far. What does anybody think? Anything? Oh, hydrate. Let me get a drink here. What do we think, folks?
Hydrate. Okay.
Oh. I'm liking it so far because it's quite unusual. Okay, if we're using standard array here, I think because he's been bullied, that's where the rogue thing comes in, right? Because what do? If somebody is after you all the time, you learn how to hide and get away, and maybe you seek some secret revenges. Maybe that's where the quickness came. Maybe he did things like, he becomes the prankster where he plays tricks on all the people that are giving him a hard time. He learns to get in, get out, do some damage while he's there. So, and because he's little and they're all bigger and clumsier and whatever, then this guy can really wreak some damage. So
yeah,
he's quick, he moves well, his agility should be high, his intelligence is high.
Okay.
I don't think for this time it's straight. Excuse me?
Let's see. Oh, I was just saying, I like this idea because I have an idea now in my head of like a moment of vindication for him. And maybe this starts his adventuring career where they have to have, trial by combat of some kind or some sort of test to see if they are worthy to become a man or something in this community of yours. And he is put up against extremely strong fighters who are slow but incredibly strong if they hit. But he is so dexterous and small and nimble that he can get in and do quick short strikes, but it's enough that he's able to earn a victory and get a little bit of, get the bullies off of his back.
Yeah. So that he doesn't feel oppressed at all, but he's kind of a cocky little fella, actually.
Yeah. I'm Mick Reese is telling me in chat here that the new Tal'Dorei Reborn book, which I don't have and I want, and if my husband is listening, Christmas present idea, honey. But the Tal'Dorei Reborn book is really good. I want to read through it. He says that it has that ability to mix some species and abilities and whatnot.
Okay. All righty.
The book I was thinking of was something called "So Your Mother is a Centaur and Your Father is I think it's Your Father's a Centaur and Your Mother's a Mermaid" or something like that. Really long title. I cannot find it, but there are others out there just with a quick Google search that have posted things on like DM's Guild and whatnot. If anyone's interested in looking at those.
Okay. All right.
Nick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. I shouldn't have assumed. I'm sorry.
Well, and I struggle with that all the time. And McGrease, thank you for absolutely pointing it out. Thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Please do that every time. And we appreciate the grace as we goof, because we goof. We don't mean to. But thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. And always please stop us when we're making a mistake.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah.
So now intelligence and dexterity, definitely you want high, right?
Yeah, those if we got the two 15s to throw about, I think so.
Well, a 15 and a 14, no two 15s. So 15, 14, 13, 12, then it jumps to the 10, and a 10 is a flat 0 modifier, 10 is average, and then you have 1 negative and an 8. So we've got the ones that you want high. Maybe we need to think about which one's going to be your weak point.
Gosh.
So I think because dexterity is going to be for your strikes and for your AC, which is your armor class, how hard it is to hit you. Should that one be the 15? Should we make that one the highest?
Yeah, let's make them very, very... Yep, absolutely.
And then 14 for intelligence. Okay. So is he a strong guy? Is that where you want your weakness to be? Or is his weakness going to be... wisdom? He's not the wisest person?
Well,
picks fights with the wrong people?
See, I think we really handicap him if we just make him totally weak. I think since if he's squishy and doesn't have any magic, which he's not going to as a rogue, possibly, although if we get Arcane Trickster, we can pick something up. I'm kind of thinking it's more in wisdom. We just decided he was a cocky little devil. So is he a little bit of a Leroy Jenkins? Does he just think he can now do anything because he beat up his big peers, and so he's going to go out into the world and be a bit of ain't nobody got nothing on me, and he might run into a little bit of trouble with that and have to be saved a little bit, but then he's going to have these other strengths in cunning action and sneak attack and some things that are going to help him get out of the messes that he gets himself into.
I love that. That is very interesting. That it's wisdom in that it's a low wisdom in that you're not making the right choices. You're picking fights with the wrong people. You don't understand the way of the world. But it could also be a weakness in charisma in that you say the wrong thing and you pick on the wrong people. You go up to the wrong person and do the wrong thing at the wrong time, and suddenly you're in combat.
Yep.
Half orcs do get a +2 to strength, so if you put the 8 in strength, it would turn into a flat 0 modifier 10. But you could also put the 10 in there and get 12. So you're a little strong. You're not as strong as everybody else, but a little strong.
Yeah, I think I'd put my 8. I'm gonna stick with wisdom, I'm seeing him kind of as a Leroy Jenkins, he's just beaten the biggest and the baddest in the tribe, and he hasn't really translated that into that doesn't apply for the whole rest of the world. Thank you very much. So he's a cocky little feller.
So we've got a 13 and a 12, which are both +1 modifiers, and a flat 10 to put into strength, con, or charisma. Which one do you think fits?
I think that because he's a cocky little fella, it's okay to put the lowest one in charisma.
Okay. All right.
I think if you were being bullied a lot, then it is very possible that you are equally abrasive because you want to get in the dig before somebody else does, particularly if now you've decided you're the king of the world. So possibly a little abrasive in there. And this is the second one. We made the other woman like offensive or whatever. Now we're picking abrasive on this guy. Maybe that's going to be the kind of adventuring team. They're going to be the like know-it-alls or something. But yeah, and then split the other two medium numbers between strength and whatever I have left.
Sure, Constitution would be the last one. So
And
Hollow
they're
Echo has jumped in the chat saying that persuasive characters can get out of anything. So I agree with you. And then with 10 and charisma, you don't have a downside to trying to talk your way out of stuff, but you don't excel at it either.
Yeah, it's going to really depend on the dice rolls. But also, I'm seeing this character as young and has a lot to learn. So, when you get to fifth, there are different points when you level up that you can do things like I can either take a feat or I can add a number to one of my scores, and then my modifier will go up an entire point. So there's some room in there that he's going to, and that goes into role play too. He's going to maybe get a little bit more charismatic or being out on his own and dealing with the world. He's going to get a little bit stronger or a little bit, whatever. So
true. Let's see. In chat, cocky people need charisma. I will agree and disagree with you, Hollow. I think cockiness comes from how you want to role play it. You could, just because you think you're all that doesn't mean you really are all that. Cockiness is just a personality trait.
Yeah. See, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it as kind of the opposite of being charismatic. I don't see it. I don't see cocky as being charming. I see it more as being you're not very self-aware. You think you're the bee's knees and you're not, but you're not seeing it a little bit. So yeah,
you think you're all that, but you can't prove it.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see if they can end up proving it or not. We all need charisma. Let's face it, every player in the group needs charisma. It's just that when you have those numbers, you have to pick and choose. Cocky people inflate their ego. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. For your other two, I think you have 12 and a 13 left. I think if we put the 12 in strength, that would fit your character. Plus, you would also get the +2 from half-orc into strength, which would make that a nice 14.
Yeah. Right.
Leaving your 13 for your constitution, which helps decide how many hit points you guys have. So you want a lot of hit points if you're going to be talking smack to the wrong people.
This is true. And a 13 isn't going to get it there. So that maybe we'll see how my character makes it out through the first few battles. It may be that when that time to improve comes, it's like, oh, I've got to have some more hit points or some better armor or something to get myself in better shape. So some
cocky people inflate their ego. Yeah, they sure do.
yeah, boy, do they ever. Okay.
Half-orcs also get a +1 to Constitution. So with standard array, starting with 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8 as your options, you now have 14 strength, Dex 15, Con 14, Intelligence 14, Wisdom 8, and Charisma 10. So
Not
you're
bad.
really good at a lot, and your wisdom is not good.
Yeah. I'm seeing him very much as a Leroy Jenkins. Just thinks that he can handle the world. He's little, but he's mighty. And is probably going to learn some serious lessons and maybe have to be saved a few times. But oh my gosh, does that give you a role-playing thing. And I can just imagine this little guy and a barbarian, like a Goliath barbarian or somewhere. Are they going to be friends or are they going to strike, because this little guy is going to think he's the barbarian Goliath because he thinks he's so mighty. So fun.
I can see them going at it and being like, so how many kills do you have?
Yeah. Oh, I'm really liking it. I think that we have hit real pay dirt as far as something character-wise to play in the game.
I love it. So, I think the only thing we haven't asked for chat before we get into, you are going to have to pop off here soon, aren't you? It's almost 6.
Well, I have to go. I have to go do a thing with the phone for like 2 minutes. But you all could,
Okay.
you in the chat could plot behind my back while I'm gone. Bonus Dad is going to be joining my daughter Ely Music here in a while. But you know what? Pixel probably knows how to do that. If Pixel came home, then Pixel could do it to get Bonus Dad in there. So we're probably not going to be a really big deal. Or I can run in there.
Okay.
I probably need to peel off at 5 minutes till 6.
Okay. Well, I think we need to ask chat for help coming up with a name for this guy.
And are you writing, like something I'm not doing is writing down the numbers. You're doing that.
I got it all.
And we do want to have stat cards for the characters that we're developing. I'm just going to throw that in there. And, maybe that's the thing for you to talk about with them while I step away, is the chat we had before stream about what we might do with the first 4 or 5 characters that we come up with.
Sure, I can tell them about that.
Interested to know, yeah. Okay, what do you want next? Name?
Yeah, we think we need a name. Now, we've got, whenever you're making a character and you choose your race, or in new terms, species, they do give you some suggestions on types of names. Half-orc names under male orc names. We've got Denched, Fang with an E instead of an A, Gel, Hank, Hog, Imsh, Krusk, Ront, Shump. It sounds like you just take the harshest consonants and combinations of letters and throw in a vowel, and okay, there's your name.
Okay, so what do you think?
Do you have to follow that? No, but
no.
Just
but what do we think? What do we think, chat? Did Daddy give this kid a strong orc name? Okay.
Or did his halfling mother give him a soft name?
Yeah,
that would be adorable.
There you go. The halfling mother said, "No, we're called." He's my, and then we get into the double name thing. But what do we hear from chat? What kind of name does this guy have?
A not wise, cocky, dexterous half orc.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any ideas, chat?
I'm checking to see. There's 8 people in chat, but they're being mighty dang quiet. I just got to know. See, I think I kind of go with Dad. And I've got one from Cutie Max that says, "Hey," his name is Hey. No,
we got
Cutie Max
thinking,
is just signing in. McReese is thinking. I have never been somebody who really went with the names that they had, but
I understand.
I don't know.
Let's
I think
see.
Daddy would have given him the strongest name possible to cover up for the,
I like that. So if I'm struggling with names, I'll put in keywords and name onto Google and see what comes up. So let's see. Strong orc name male generator. See what comes up.
Well, something popped into my head that I was thinking about, but I want to check the definition of it to see if it's what I think it is, and I might have one.
So for those who just joined us, because I see 2 more people just joined chat, we're trying to think of a name for a half-orc male that is more dexterous than strong and is a little on the short side because maybe his mom was a halfling. I'm looking, let's see, in the orc fantasyname-generator.com orc section, we've got Zalthu, Kurtug, Ruhag, Tugdud, Tagdud. I said it wrong. Tagdud.
Well,
Interesting.
I was kind of thinking, the name that I was thinking about was Quark, Quark. And what made that come into my mind is I was thinking, isn't that like a really tiny little particle of something? And that is sort of what it is. It's like a subatomic particle or something, but it sort of goes for the sound, and it's just a little thing. So Quark, and then now McReese said crag, like a mountain.
Ooh, I like it. Quark is definitely interesting. It feels like a name that his mom would have snuck in there. Like, to remind him of his heritage. But only an intelligent person would know that, because I didn't know what that was.
Well,
Bonus Mom's bringing her science knowledge here.
And I don't know where that came from, but Quark. Quark. Okay. What about if we name Dad Craig, and then the little kid is Quark? And Craig is like, this massive hero orc that is the head of the tribe, like the best fighter in the tribe. And Cutie Max is just lurking and crocheting a cape. Okay, sounds good. Alrighty, we're at the time where I'm going to sneak away for a minute. So I'm going to leave it. Like I said, why don't you tell them about what we think we're going to do with these characters? And if anybody has a better name or you want to change it or whatever, I'll be back in a minute.
Sure. Feel free to leave any comments you want in chat, and she'll see it when she gets back. So what we were briefly talking about before stream started, and then we had about 20 minutes of technical difficulties, we were deciding what to do with these characters that we were making here. That Bonus Mom is creating the backstories for. She's choosing the archetypes and whatnot. And she's playing around with the idea with a one-shot and have other people come in and play the characters that she's creating. We talked about whether or not she would be the DM or I would be the DM so that she could play one of her characters. She'd get to pick. And then we would give the chance for other people to either earn or raffle off or win the chance to come in and play one of the characters in this one-shot. We haven't really gotten too far into it, kind of just seeing if anyone has any ideas that they would like to throw out at us. It could be like a channel points kind of thing, or we could do I know she's trying to get enough money to get a good gaming computer going, so maybe a raffle and $1 entry or something is a good idea. If there's any of these that sound good to you, go ahead and leave a note in the comment. That way we can both see it when she gets back. But we would provide the stat cards based on what she rolls or the standard array that she uses, and we would start you at probably level 3 to get you at least to the archetype that she chooses. Anything else with that? I'm trying to think. If you have any questions, go ahead and start putting them into chat, and I'll answer as best I can. I know you're not here for me, you're here for Bonus Mom, but I'm also helping her out here. Let's think. She's thinking if we get to, I think it was 4 characters. I know the next one we talked about was going to be a barbarian, so we don't know what the 4th one's going to be yet. But if we can get 4 characters created, then we could have a one-shot with these 4 characters that she designs. And I think that'd be pretty cool. It's hard sometimes to play a character that's not one that you created, but with all of you guys helping create this character with suggestions and comments, I think that helps. So I wonder which one Bonus Mom would want to play right now, her tiefling or this cocky little half-orc male, whose name is Pork. Did any of you know what that was? I sure didn't. I hear movement. Is she coming back? Aha, I think she's back.
I'm back. How did we do?
We did good. I asked for suggestions, just kind of summarize what you said. McReese says that sounds amazing. And Nelly Jelly, first time I've seen your name pop in, I like your name, says that the first one is my favorite. I'm going to assume you meant character. If not, please let me know in chat. So you like the tiefling better right now? That's perfectly fine. That tiefling had a lot of story, didn't she?
Absolutely. But as things go along, they can develop and be wonderful. Thank you, the character. Yes, okay. We loved our tiefling. We knocked it out of the park the first time. But I think this guy is going to be interesting in having so much to learn. It will be a journey for him, Every character doesn't have to be the most attractive character on the planet. People who have, characters who struggle can give you some of the most fun. So this storyline's good too. Thank you. Okay, so we go on with Quark, and Craig is the dad, And maybe Quark's family name is Craig. Quark Crag. Oh, what a name. Okay.
I love it.
Male, half orc. The other half is halfling. He's
Ooh, what if it's
little, and he is
Quark Cragson?
yeah, Quark Cragson.
Oh my gosh,
So
I love
cool.
it. It's
Me
so
too.
good.
Me too. Gonna be funny. Gonna be fun.
Okay, so I think we can wrap it up here within the next like 15 minutes, maybe, just to give us a good stopping point, so we're not on here all night. Because I know you and I would be if we could.
We could because we love doing this. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So
do you want to talk about an archetype? Which one do you think your character would go with? Or do you want to have a chance to research that a little bit?
see, he's starting out. This is a level 1 character. We don't pick archetype till 3rd level, do we?
No, we did talk about what archetype your tiefling would be. I think
we did.
I think you went. I think you went champion.
That we were really starting the tiefling out up brand new either. We did. What are my choices for archetype? What are my choices again?
So there are a lot, and again, if this is something that you'd rather like feel out as the character progresses,
I know what I'm
totally
thinking.
true.
So if you'll just go through it, unless something piques my mind, what I think I'm going to say.
Thief, assassin, and arcane trickster, or inquisitive, scout, swashbuckler, or mastermind. And there are some other ones, but those are the ones that I wrote down.
Okay, it's between one of two. It's either arcane trickster or swashbuckler. Just because of the moxie that he's got, it could be swashbuckler. You know, he's Jack Sparrow of the half orc world.
Oh no!
You know,
that could be more personality.
Except that Jack Sparrow really was charming, and this guy isn't. So that could really be fun. So swashbuckler or arcane trickster. Can we ponder? Okay. Can we narrow it down? What does anybody else think? I narrow it down to those two. What does
we talked about? Maybe he is very intelligent. So as far as his stats, so arcane trickster works. Maybe he left home and he weaseled his way onto a ship. Maybe.
Why not? Okay, what's the main thing about swashbuckler? Because we kind of know with arcane trickster is that they start to get a little bit of magic.
Right, I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
Swashbuckler excels in single combat, and he can fight with 2 weapons while safely darting away from the opponent. That does sound like your character, I will say.
It really does. Yeah, why not? And that's different, isn't it? Let's go with swashbuckler.
Okay, I think I found it. Yeah. Starting at 3rd level, you get rakish audacity. And it says your confidence propels you into battle.
Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah. That's my Leroy Jenkins. Oh, excuse me, that's my Quark Gregson.
All right, I'm writing it down.
I love it. That's it. He's a swashbuckler. Okay, now we need the thing about some numbers to add into that backstory. We've got we need to know the who, what, where, when, and why. We've answered the who. We know who he is. Why is he going to be adventuring?
That's always the question once you make your character. Especially, you gotta be careful with rogues, because if you go the brooding, I don't trust anyone kind of backstory, well, then why are they in an adventuring party? You know, you gotta have your why.
Yeah. So what we've done in the past, in case we've got some different folks in chat, and it says 8 folks. We get you all to call out numbers, and then Nerdy Teacher has a random word generator that she's going to give us a word for whatever number you chose, and then we're going to, I'm going to think, you're going to think, we're going to work on it together to come up with the why are they here, what do they want to accomplish, where are they headed next, and maybe what's their flaw. At least
all right, so I need numbers 1 through 100.
Yeah.
Anybody, 1 through 100. Toss them out. Bonus Mom will pick the number that speaks to her.
Yep. Or we'll use whatever. Okay, 26 is our first one for why are they adventuring?
Okay. 26 is, ooh, this is going to be interesting. Drown.
Drown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something happened in their past. Well, they are a swashbuckler. Oh no, that fits.
Are a
Crap.
swashbuckler, and so now we have drown in there. Okay, so did this little guy get himself into a bar fight somewhere? Okay, and got himself impressed into a navy somewhere. And one of the reasons why they wanted him is because he was little and he's dexterous, so he can go up and down to the eagle's nest quick as a, whatever, would you believe, or whatever. And he didn't particularly want to do it. Maybe he doesn't really like water and he never learned how to swim, but when they throw you on the shipboard and take off, there you are. And even as dexterous as he was, did he get into a fight with somebody on shipboard and maybe even the captain, and they threw the little cocky son of a gun overboard and he almost drowned?
Tossed overboard. Or could have been a fight. He said the wrong thing. He had to walk the plank almost.
Had to walk the plank, yeah. He insulted the captain and he had to walk the plank, which would mean that, he almost drowned. Came darn near it anyway. Yeah. So that was the end of that career now. He swam to shore. He's in a totally different place now, knows nobody. Maybe he even, he came so close to death that he's lost a lot of his past even, or whatever. He's confused. It comes and it goes a little bit,
Body memory, okay.
Blackouts. Yeah, he has blackouts, maybe. A little bit.
Memory blackouts, okay.
Yeah. Okay, we've got
a number. Pretty hard on something.
Okay. Boy, he's a flawed character. This is just really fun. All right. Almost drowned. We're going to think about the blackout because we wouldn't want that to affect things at the table. Like, we wouldn't want him to, screw up so badly that we have a TPK on our hands. But anyway, when he tries to remember his backstory, maybe he's kind of got some holes in there. Okay, our next number is 42, and it's, okay, we know the drowned is why he came out to adventuring. Okay, 42 is where he finds himself now.
I like what Grease just added. She said maybe a member of the party that he's now with had fished him out.
Okay, that works for me. Okay.
Okay.
42.
Number 42.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is going to be interesting. The word is stunning. Where are you going to go with that?
Oh, okay. So he did get fished out. Okay, but not by a member of his group that he already knew. Let's get really interesting in this because this could lead. He's a rogue. Smugglers rescued him, and the head smuggler is female and happens to be a full-blown something most gorgeous ever. So got rescued by a gorgeous smuggler. How's that? Do we like that? Who, is a thief, basically, which would explain how he's going to end up with the thieves' cant. And
I love it. Rescued by a gorgeous smuggler. Yeah. Very good.
And Hollow Echo is reminding us they key haul you for talking back to the captain. And that's where they, draw you under the ship and you go from side to side. A female tiefling. Oh. A gorgeous female tiefling. Oh.
I wondered what if it might not be the head smuggler, but what if your female tiefling character happened to be on that ship?
Oh, yeah, that could be it too. And maybe dove in, maybe that's the one, or runs into me at some point. Yeah, okay, we got a couple of possibilities there to tie into the female tiefling because she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we now? I need another number.
Yeah, let's see. No one else has given us another number. So first person to give us a number that Bonus Mom likes. Let's see. Where's my list?
77. We are at 77.
77. Ooh. Okay. I love how all these kind of like just fit together. 77 is worth. WORTH. Like worthy.
Oh. Okay. So, I'm still more inclined, because now you've brought in worth, to think that the tiefling had to do with the rescue instead of being on the ship.
Sure.
I just really do. And that there is something to do with the thieves' world that the tiefling had to do with at this point in time. And we can kind of figure that. And in order to hopefully make himself, Quark, to make himself attractive to the tiefling, to earn his way in this group of smugglers or nefarious creatures, then he is adventuring, and he is trying to, to solve puzzles, accumulate wealth. If they want to go rob something, he's going to be in there with his thieves' tools, trying to prove himself, and also not only prove he's worthy, but be of some worth. Get together wealth and resources, because he was impressed onto the ship. He was thrown overboard, probably had a pair of pants on, maybe nothing else. So he doesn't want to continue that way. He wants to have what he wants. He wants, so that's a good reason for adventuring, to prove himself worthy, to go up in the ranks of whatever this organization could be. But it could be that he's got to prove himself out of it to even be accepted into it, kind of. It can be that sort of thing, depending on what we want to make the adventuring party to be when the one shot comes along.
Right. And already as a DM, if you told me that this was your backstory, my brain is already thinking things like, okay, so this head smuggler has some sort of quest that they cannot complete on their own. They need someone they trust to go and do it. And immediately, Quark Gregson is going to volunteer to go find like some other people to help him. Or once he hears that his smuggler lady wants this help, he can convince his party to go help them find this treasure or investigate this thing that happens. We already got like a little bit of a plot hook going on.
We do. McReese is saying Celine needs a thief to steal a relic of her father's, or she needs somebody that can. The relic could be with orcs, and so here's this little sneaky little half orc that the tiefling couldn't go charging through the door, but the half orc could. So that could be good. And Hollow Echo says the tiefling jumps in and pulls you, nurses you back to health, and you feel obliged to help her. Absolutely obliged to help them. Right. Perfect.
Yeah, I love it.
I do.
You have this is what's called a bond in a backstory, is that you have a character that you are tied to in one way or another. Mm-hmm. And so far you've got your family and the the community that you left, but now you've also got this one tiefling woman who's running the ship, maybe, that you are attached to and that you want to help.
Yeah.
I like it.
And she can decide, also, it could be that he's in love with the tiefling. It could be that Celine sees him as totally disposable. Let's send the little guy and see what he can do, but she could care about him not at all. Okay? Because didn't we kind of decide that about her? She sort of hung up a little bit on how gorgeous and wonderful and whatever she is, and she kind of offends people a little bit. Remember, that kind of tied in there. So, yeah, she's like, well...
We need a goody two shoes and for one of these characters.
We've got to get there. We do. Okay, so what is it that my ultimate goal is? I need another number for this is on the this is looking on down the road now that I've left. Well, I left my world because I got dragged out of it through my own actions. But what am I hoping for?
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, a paladin. Somebody says we need a paladin. That'll give us the goody two shoes. Yeah, absolutely. We need another number, folks. Somebody
one last number. Anything from 1 to 100. 1 to 100. Anybody.
Yeah. Somebody who hadn't given me a number. 75. Okay, that'll do.
Okay, good. Just Oh, and we got numbers coming in all of a
Okay,
sudden.
well, hold
Okay.
on. We'll figure out something for those. We'll make it work, but that'll do it then. Okay, 75 is ultimate goal.
75 is breathe or breath. Automatically, my brain is going to, maybe it has something to do with the name of an artifact that the smuggler wants to find.
Okay, cool. Well, see, that's the thing you can talk to your DM about. Maybe this relic is something that is gonna, it can breathe underwater, which would be wonderful for the whole crew. Maybe it's like if you play Minecraft, it's the conduit or something that you place it down, and then everybody within a certain amount of radius can breathe underwater. And if we've kind of turned this into a seafaring adventure, that could be totally cool. And yeah, we got into I almost drowned, the fear of water. This would make it so maybe I could be underwater. So yeah, let's go along with looking for a relic that is going to help me breathe underwater.
Okay.
That's
I also like the idea of tying it in with the moon or something, and maybe this is a relic that's like a breath of life. And not only does it just help you breathe underwater, it also lets you breathe anywhere, even if you were on the moon.
Even on the moon or an alternate plane. So that's it. It's bigger than water. It makes it so you don't have to breathe.
Yeah, I like that.
You do not have to breathe, but you're still alive. No need.
Because you can just find a druid to cast, water breathing, and you got that problem solved.
Yeah.
This would take away the need for breath altogether.
Yeah, why not? That it makes it so you don't have to breathe. It keeps your lungs moving, and you don't have to have air to do it. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Then we have a 2, and that is going to be that's going to be a weakness. Let's give me a weakness. Oh, Lord. When the DM laughs hysterically, it's not good, folks.
Vegetables.
I'm an orc, okay? I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. I only eat vegetables. I only eat vegetables. And I like them steamed. Steamed vegetables.
And that good vegetables are real hard to find on the ocean, They only last a little bit.
They're really, really tough. Aren't there like sea cucumbers or something? I don't think they're vegetables. And soup. I will eat soup. So I'm a vegetarian.
No wonder he got picked on.
Yeah, real and true. And a vegetarian orc with those teeth sticking up like that. Okay, then number 7. See, we've almost hit a character flaw, and I'm really, really cocky. Okay, what am I afraid of? Number 7, I'm afraid of something.
Number 7. Let's see.
If you don't eat your meat, you won't grow up strong. Thank you so much for that good advice. And let me hydrate while I'm getting that.
So number 7 is girl. GIRL, girl.
Yeah, I love this tiefling. She has attracted me mightily, and I'm totally just enamored of her. But as cocky as I am, I cannot put 2 sentences together around this girl. This female, I'm just... Yeah.
That's the 10 in charisma of no skills talking to the other sex.
That's right. And most all women. I'm really afraid of women. I really am. No, I'm not.
Flirting with other women. Unable to flirt.
Women. Yeah. That's it. Don't trust them. Like I'm just terrified of women. This funny little guy.
So, to sum up, we have a half-orc named Cork Cragson, whose mother was a halfling, and because of that, Cork is on the smaller side. But he makes up for it by being very intelligent and very dexterous. He managed to get himself into a bar fight by talking to the wrong person and saying the wrong thing, and woke up on a ship. And they find him very useful, but he does not want to stay there. And as he insulted the captain he was once keelhauled, the rope snapped in the middle of it, but he was fished up by a smuggling crew who's led by a gorgeous woman, possibly a tiefling. And he cannot speak to her, but he wants to impress her so much. And he has a fear of water, and he's very cocky, and he's a vegetarian.
I love it. I love it. There is so much in there to play around with. He's gonna be a comic character. There's just no other way. And I can see like this whole thing about he runs into battle and he's Leroy Jenkins all the way up to the edge of the water, and then he starts to back up again, which is going to make it really tricky if he's hanging out with smugglers who go on the ocean.
Yeah. He really wants to be with this woman, but he doesn't want to be around water. Ooh, conflicted.
And he's terrified if she's going to even talk to him. I think we've got a winner. I think it's so much fun to play. There's just a lot there to really enjoy. So I'm pretty happy with it.
I love it. It's going to be good. And I think that there's going to be not a good symmetry between him and Selena the Tiefling, but I think it's going to be a funny one.
Yeah. And a lot of room for, for little mini conversations. We had a conversation, one of our Tuesday conversations or somewhere, that we were talking about how you can move your character backstory along. And one of them is we call it in my little community of players that I played with, little vignettes, little scenes. Like the thing that happens around the fireplace or while you're walking down the trail or whatever, when the DM says, so does anybody here want to have any conversations with anybody else or whatever? And there will be lots of moments in here, I think, for Quark to stick his 2 cents into the wrong conversation. And then I see chances, when they're trying to battle plan and Quark starts to move forward and Leroy Jenkins, although, somebody could reach out and grab him because he's little and pulling back. So he wouldn't necessarily have to ruin everything for the party. But fun for him to jump in if everybody is dithering around and not deciding, then he'd be the one that says, well, Quark runs up and tries to open the door, or whatever. So I think that could be a lot of fun to play.
I just thought of this. If anyone in chat is too young to know what Leroy Jenkins is, YouTube, type in Leroy Jenkins, you'll find out. Yeah,
you really will.
Iconic. You really just need to watch it.
Yeah, that'll be your assignment between this and next time. Oh, this one says, so you're playing Fjord. Maybe.
Actually, crap, yeah. Having watched that series, not that far off. Yeah. I did not think Ford as of a cocky character, though, so at least for that different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like what you've created, and
you too.
We're meeting 2 weeks from now for the Barbarian.
The Sunday the 18th. I had been saying I thought it was Barbarian. This one, I had them switch, but not a big deal. So next time we're going to be adding, and something to consider, and you all have started to do that, and I really do kind of like it, is that we're starting to think about the other 2 characters that we have as we include this character. And now you mentioned to them about the one shot possibly sometime.
Yes, I mentioned we haven't decided how we're going to choose the people that get to join, whether it's donations towards your Twitch or subs or whatnot, or if we're going to raffle it off. And I like the raffle idea because I know you need a good gaming computer, so that might be a good idea.
It might. I kind of hate to twist the arms for my players for cash. If people can possibly support me financially, that's wonderful. But we will probably go the channel points route, and we may do both. We did that on the I think we did that for me for the. Is you could get to the thing either way. Some of the channel points, like you can use channel points, which you just accumulate that for listening to us, okay? Or there are things you can purchase. And particularly around Christmas time, I don't want to ask anybody to do anything financially that's a hardship. We don't currently have channel points really set up right now because this is a D&D thing. And usually when we're talking D&D, we don't turn on the channel points so much so that, although I think we've got a few, but a big channel points award because it just sort of interrupts things. So I need to talk to Pixel about that. If we do the one shot, It depends. We may not be there until like after February. It might be more like March or something, but we'll get there. We're going to do, I have 4 or 5 characters and maybe talk about a couple of aspects of this leading into the one shot. And then we'll have some kind of a drawing and we'll get there and we'll do a one shot.
Okay.
And we'll stream it live here on Bonus Mom 70.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we talked about rogues. We've talked about fighters. We're going to talk about barbarians on the 18th, 2 Sundays from now. We're going to stick, I think, with the 4:30 Eastern. And if that changes, we'll let you know. But you know where to find Bonus Mom on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. And here, and Nerdy Teacher also. And if you are trying to think what it is that your DM wants for Christmas and all the players at your table, they want some of Nerdy Teacher stickers, which are the best ones out there. And if you really want to go overboard, you can buy a Bonus Mom hoodie for that DM, whatever. But we both have merch that we sell. We are both on TikTok, and we both enjoy hanging out with all of you. We can be found in Bonus Mom's Discord. It's Bonus Mom's Bonus Mom's Tavern on Discord. Nerdy Teacher is a member there also, and also is on TikTok, and also has an Etsy store called, what is it again?
OCRIT. OHCRIT.
Why can I not remember that? OCRIT. OCRIT.
Well, because it's a play on a curse word, and you don't want to think about it.
So thank you all so much for being here today, for helping us. Our channel points the yarn balls, yes. And you just, I think so. You just, I can't see it because it's been turned off. Yeah, it's the yarn balls. And you accumulate those just for watching Bonus Mom. Anytime that I play games on Bonus Mom 70 on Twitch, not just for this, you accumulate the channel points. And there are things you can redeem them for, and something to tie into the one shot is coming, but Pixel hasn't set it up yet. Nerdy Teacher, thank you so much. I'm still going to see you one more time before Christmas, but I hope this is being a good holiday season for you.
Yep, and I hope everyone comes back in 2 weeks, and if not, I hope you have a great Christmas holiday too. Or whatever holiday you celebrate.
There you go, however it goes. You all take care, blessings, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.